Hello, everybody. It's Sham Sadasivan again here with another LinkedIn Live. This time with somebody who does kind of a lot of this in many different settings, talking in public, speaking in public. And I have gotten to know her over LinkedIn, yet another one of my friends slash acquaintances on LinkedIn that I've never met. Hope to meet her someday. But we've exchanged some really interesting ideas on how it is and what it is like to actually speak in public. And this is a topic that a lot of my clients and other people actually bring up with me. How do I begin? How do I start? And you know what? Bhavna has done this a lot. So I can't think of anyone better to have this conversation with. Folks, let's go. Hi, Bhavna. How are you today?
Hi, Sham. Hello, everyone. I'm doing good. How are you doing, Sham?
I'm doing very well. It's 6:30, late evening, well, early evening for me. It must be what, early afternoon for you in London? Is that right?
Yes, yes, it's 2 p.m. here in London. Yes,
Nice and bright it looks. Nice and it's
yes,
a sunny day over there.
yes, it is a sunny day, thankfully. Yes, but winter is coming.
Winter is coming very soon. And folks, I could not think, since Bhavna is based in London, I could not think of a better way to start the conversation than the weather. Right? We have to
Yeah.
start with the weather.
Oh, yeah, it's just
Absolutely.
crazy. Yes.
So, Bhavna, thank you so much for making the time for us. We've got a bunch of people joining us already, and I know more will
Awesome.
as well. Folks, if you're here with us, please tell us hi in the comments, and we'll pick it up and hear from you as we go along. Yeah. Thank you very much. Folks, we are going to start with a chat on speaking in public. Hey, Bhavna, tell us how it all began. No? How did your public speaking experience begin?
Okay, sure. I think it started with a YouTube video. So I had been to a webinar. It's a seminar. It was offline, and there I got connected to pragmatic leaders, people, and then they said that, oh, probably we can have a chat with you. You talk well. Can you talk about product management? I was like, okay, sure. Yes, I can talk about product management because I had transitioned recently then, and then it was a conversation just like this, and today it has like 2000 views on YouTube. I really, if I look back, I'm like, oh my god, this video has 2000 views. It's crazy. So that's how my journey began it in public speaking.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And what were you doing during that experience? Was it part of the job that you did that, or was it something else? How did it
Oh,
begin?
it was not part of the job. So I was a
No?
QA engineer and then I became a product manager.
Yeah.
So, and product management is like one of the hot jobs right now.
Yeah.
So that's when they thought, okay, because I transitioned recently, it would be great if I can speak about it. So I was
Ah,
working in Big Basket, but this was in Pragmatic Leaders. So, and
right.
Pragmatic Lead, yeah, yeah. So it was not part of the job. And I'm a person who loves to be on stage. So I think it worked
Okay.
well for
Got it.
me.
Fantastic. I mean, what you're saying, the two things I'm picking up from immediately from what you said, right? One is it's not part of the job. So it's not necessarily that you always have to look for opportunities to speak as part of your kind of formal role. And
Yes.
secondly, you enjoyed being on stage. So I'll come to that in a second. But let's pick this
Sure.
apart.
Mhm.
Being part of the role or not. So if
Mhm.
speaking is not part of my role, in what ways can I kind of maybe look for some opportunities? Where would you suggest we begin?
If it is not part of the role, you mean if it's not part of what I do every day,
Yeah, yeah, on
some
a
other
day-to-day
topic?
basis. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yes. Oh, yes. It's a good question because when I was an engineer, I was not talking so much. When I was an engineer, it was mostly like sitting in your desk with your laptop and testing. But as a product manager, I had to talk. Like it is meetings for half of your day. So if it's not part of the job, I think it will take more time. So, but
Hmm.
if it is part of your job, I think meetings is a good place to start with, right?
Yes,
So
indeed, indeed. Mm.
right? So if there are like five people, if you can speak confidently, if you can start speaking whatever you think, whatever you have in your mind, and thinking out loud is absolutely fine. Okay, and people do value that, right?
Mm.
Because I think as engineers, or if at all meetings are not part of your life, I mean, not like a product manager's life. I think meetings is a good way to get started with public
Mm-hmm.
speaking. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, right? I mean, a meeting of 5 people is also in public in that sense. Public speaking shouldn't
Yes.
be really thought of as in front of 1,000 people on stage
Yes.
on a dais with, like, almost that kind of Steve Jobs kind of thing that you have to do. Public speaking is basically anything outside of your room, I guess, in front of a few
Yes.
people is a good place to start. And meetings are a very good suggestion, actually. I really like that.
Yes. I think it's more about overcoming that fear of judgment. Okay. I think in public speaking, if one thing that has changed me of how I talk in any webinar or seminar is stop thinking about what other people would think of you. Overcome that judgment. You are here to share your
Ah,
knowledge. It will be useful for some. It may
yeah.
not be useful for some, but think about the people who are here to listen to you. So yes, don't think about what others think of you. Overcome that fear of judgment. That's the main point.
The talk to the people who have come to listen to you. You just said that, right? And that's
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly what one of my I also spend a predominant part of my career in marketing and product
Mm-hmm.
management. And my boss
Hmm.
used to say that whenever you go into a room with, I don't know, a few dozen or 100 people, just find 2 people, 3 people who seem to be a bit kind of reacting positively. Don't let the 98 people pull you down.
Yes.
Just look
Yes.
at this first person, talk to them for a few minutes, talk to that person for a few minutes, and that's it. Imagine you're only talking to 2 people, and that's
Yeah.
that's when you would kind of really be the best. And that has really worked very well for me. It's very hard to do
Yes.
right now because I'm looking into into a camera. So
Mhm.
that's why I keep asking everybody, folks, please tell us hello, give us your questions, comments in the chat, and so that I can um, really kind of get that feedback from you. So cool. um
Yeah.
Public speaking, let's go deeper into both the words. No, speaking, we understand, we have to express ourselves.
Mhm.
That public bit, fear
Mm.
of judgment, what are
Yeah.
your how did you overcome it?
Right.
Right.
So it took quite some time.
Hmm.
Okay. So it's not an easy thing because you will always think, oh, if I say something and what if it's not valid?
Mhm.
What if it's incorrect? And I think the first step to overcome this fear of judgment is it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay even if you're telling the wrong thing. It was just your idea, and if it is wrong, it's good to know that it's wrong, right? So at least you will overcome that thought thinking. Yes, oh, probably my thought in that perspective, it was not the right way for business, or it was not the right way for the product, and then you learn from other people's perspective. So it's okay to be wrong. I think
Mm.
that's the first step.
Yeah, it's okay to be wrong. That's a hard
Yes.
one to take if you are worried about making mistakes, right? I completely
Yes.
agree with you. I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
And I'm going back, to the very first time I spoke, and it's okay to be wrong.
Yeah.
Preparation helps a lot, right? So first few times I ever spoke, I had it all like detailed written down, and I almost read it out, which clearly
Mhm.
is not in kind of extempore, not in the moment and all of that. But you got
Mhm.
to make a start at some point, right? You got
Yes,
to make a
that's
start.
true. Yes, yes. So preparing, so there are two things, right? So if at all you're giving a presentation,
Hmm.
then you're in a better position actually, because you know the content, you have prepared the content. And if you are presenting a PPT, trust me, it's better if you prepare the PPT. And I mean, don't give it to someone else, right? Because if you know the content, you're already like 80% there, right? So even if, let's say, things go wrong, you're not able to, let's say, present it, you still know what to talk. And trust me,
Yes,
it's about the content, Sham. It's always about the content.
very good point.
So it's not about language. I mean, I see many YouTubers. My husband is always on YouTube, and then I see them, and it was a question mark. I'm like, okay, they have like lots of subscribers, and the language is average. So language is really not the concern. So it's
Mm.
really about the content always.
Prajwal has hit us with a question exactly
Okay.
what you're just saying, actually. How to overcome the fear of language or grammar, and mostly
Mhm.
fear comes due to the above. I mean, it's true, right? I mean, we all have different fears, right? I mean, some
Yes.
have a fear of people, some have a fear of, oh, am I, not coming across clearly? Is my language not clear enough? Am I using
Mhm.
my own fear? Prajwal was that I used to do an incredible amount of ums and ahs. Now, if you are here with us, how much ever longer you are here with us, please count the number of ums and ahs I use. And if I use a few, I'm okay. But I hope I've kind of stopped that quite a lot. So, how to
Yeah.
overcome the fear of
Yeah.
language or grammar? Shall I go first, and maybe we can
Yes,
add
yes,
as well?
Cham. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, I think the fear is not of the language. The fear
Mm.
goes back to what Bhavna has said. The fear is not whether I'm using the right word or not. The fear is how will they respond to what I
Yeah.
say. Right? The fear is not really about my language or my grammar, because when I'm speaking to my friends in my language, I'm perfectly fine. So I would
Mm.
kind of phrase it as, there is a fear of being judged in an environment where my language is probably a bit different or not up to the mark, or how much ever we see it, right? So to go back to Bhavana's point, I really love that idea of focus on the content. I can assure you, Prajwal, if your content is fantastic, if your presentation is spot on, if the information is correct, I can tell you, the language and grammar is not going to be the kind of deal breaker, right? It's a
Yeah.
hygiene factor for sure, but it's not. If I am full of fantastic kind of Shashi Tharoor language, but I have zero content, I can assure you, no one's going to be impressed, because bottom line is you need to know your stuff. So I would definitely get the content right and use tools like Grammarly to fix your written, get some
Mm-hmm.
feedback on your language, and don't try to become a Shashi Tharoor. Try to pick your main issues. My main issues are always an amana, always. And I think I've really fixed that over the years. I don't use them at all. I think maybe one or
You
two will.
have. You have fixed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't come that much. I hope. See, one came. So, but I try to use the only in genuine pauses, not places where I don't know what to say. So I prefer silence over that. But that's my thing. What would you add to that, Bhavna?
Yes, so language is definitely not the concern. Okay. And trust me, most Indians speak best English. Okay. So I have met so many people here after coming to London from so many different countries. Even the British people, they're quite surprised by the way we speak English. Okay. So
Mhm.
even if it's half of what I speak, we're already good. Okay. And trust me, when probably I learned to speak English fluently only after I started talking so much. Okay, so you have to get started, and trust me, I did study in English medium school, but English was not the primary language of communication. It was still Kannada for me. So it took many years. So only after I entered my professional life, my English kind of got better. So
Mhm.
you have to get started, and it's absolutely okay. So Sham said he's and I used to say like so. I used to do that. I don't know. I hope I have reduced it a bit. So yes,
Yeah.
I'm still improving. And even Dhoni does that. I once counted Dhoni's speech, and he had used at least 50 likes.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's absolutely fine. You will learn over time. That's what it
Hmm.
is. And grammar, trust me, grammar is not at all a concern. It's about the content. And if you are able to kind of convey what you want to convey with those main words,
Yeah.
you're good.
I love it. So basically, it is. I mean, even though we're talking about public speaking here, it is actually the public messaging or communication that we're talking about. Speaking is only
Yeah,
the medium through which you actually deliver that message or story, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
the same thing could be through written, right? Through various other mediums. And the fear always exists. So I was just researching this a little bit, Bhavna, the other day, and saying that
Yeah.
I was just thinking that I find it easier to do virtual. Okay, I'll tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm literally only seeing you. So for me, right,
Okay.
even though there's so many people with us on the live session right now,
Mm-hmm.
I can only see you, and others I can see kind of what they're putting in the comments, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you go back to why do we feel afraid when we stand in front of 100 people on a dais? Why do we feel afraid? I researched this a lot, okay, a few
Okay.
a little while ago, trying to
Mm-hmm.
understand our brain. Saying, so,
Mm-hmm.
so what, right? I mean, what's the deal with 100 people looking at you? What is that real inner emotion psychologically that is pulling us? And the explanation I liked the most, I'm no expert in this, but the explanation I really like is it goes back to our reptilian brain, which is in fight or flight mode, immediate reaction. What
Mm-hmm.
happens? Go back, 50,000 years. You're in the
Okay.
jungle.
Okay.
Suddenly, 100. 100 pairs of eyes are watching you suddenly.
Oh,
What has happened to you? You are
you're
now the
scared.
prey, right? You're
Yes,
dead,
yes,
right?
yes.
100 animals are going to pounce on you and you're dead. So but things are different now. So the brain is basically saying,
Yeah.
you're dead, but you're not.
Oh,
But you're not, right? It's just, I mean, in
okay.
a way, I've kind of grown to say it's just a talk. What's the
Yeah,
worst that can happen? And that's a question I ask myself a lot in many other things. What's the worst that will happen? Somebody may not like my talk. It's okay.
yeah,
I'll go again
yeah.
and
Yes, it's absolutely okay. And the worst case that could happen is possibly you will have some 2 3 questions which possibly you don't know the answer for, and that is also okay, right? So it's not like everyone knows everything, right? Of course, even if you
yeah,
ask CEO of Google about Google products, he won't have answers to everything, right? So it's
yes,
absolutely
yes.
okay to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know about it. Let me go back and let's
Yeah.
connect offline, and I'll be happy to answer your question."
But again, the brain works in interesting ways. Things
Mm,
are, we fear the unknown, right? So if we have
yeah.
never done it before, we are going to be afraid. It's saying it's okay is not going to
Yes,
help. I'll go back to what you
yes,
said
yes.
earlier, saying do it once, right? Try it. As long as
Yes,
you have the courage to do it once, you'll be fine. Because the second time,
yes,
third time, you'll know it will be fine. Because there'll always be a next time, right? This
yes,
is not a
yes.
duel with a sword, It's like so.
Yes,
Um,
it's absolutely fine. You have to get started.
so you got started, Bhavna. You do a lot of
Mm.
talks and speaking. Um, we are trying to help people understand how to get over fear and do things better. What was your kind of pivotal moment or something that happened to you where you kind of learned a lot, or maybe your worst experience? I'm just trying to understand where you kind of really felt like you can do this. How did that happen?
Hmm, how did I do this? So, see, even now, for example, even this session, we all go through that anxiety. So
Yes.
just because you are still on this on the spotlight, okay?
Yeah.
So I think the way I overcome is I read 2 3 books about it.
Yeah.
So where especially I would suggest Emotional Intelligence 2.0. Okay, so it's really about self-awareness first. Like you said, why am I fearing this? Right?
Hmm.
So understanding that. And of course, like you said, it may never be gone, right? Because we are designed that way. So now I used to do 2 things. One is I do 5 minutes of deep breathing. Okay. So it does help. So 5 minutes of deep breathing just before the session starts. And I eat chocolate. So that I have got some good energy. I don't know if it helps or not, but definitely it helps my brain.
If it helps
So
you.
it,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so it gives me energy. And of course, eating sweet or eating sugar, it's like your brain gets kind of activated, at least for a bit. So eating chocolate helps and doing the deep breathing helps. And recently, I have learned that you need to stand in a pose just before you start your talks, and that will help you. So, and the pose is called Amy Cuddy pose. I don't know if that's the right way to pronounce that name.
Okay. How does it? How
Amy
does it work?
Cuddy. So it's like how Wonder Woman stands or Superman stands. It's like this.
Oh, right. Physical posture
Yes,
makes a difference, right? Yeah.
yes, yes. So I did that for 2 minutes before I joined this call. So I mean, if you stand like that, apparently it increases testosterone in your body and it
Oh,
reduces the stress
wow.
hormone. And I learned this very recently, and I'm doing that. I think it helps. So doing all this really helps just before you kind of get started.
Lovely. No, I
Yeah.
completely agree. And that's why I put Shreya's question in here. Shreya has
Uh-huh.
asked, how do you confidently convey your thoughts and ideas in a dismissive environment? And I think a lot of it is
Mm,
actually before that conversation, just like Bhavna has said. Have you taken a moment to
mm.
take a deep breath? To be honest, breathing is underrated. I mean,
Yes.
literally,
Yes.
I have a health counselor for myself. I speak to her once a week, and
Hmm.
we speak about my work. And I'm a coach, so I kind of try to practice what I preach. So I have a counselor, and every time I share something, only one word comes on WhatsApp: breathe. Every time I'm down or
Yeah.
anxious or something, and you know what? I just intentionally being aware. I take 5 deep breaths, and I automatically feel better. Like it
Better.
is. I really am not making this up. I mean, this I do
Yeah.
all the time now. I've
Mm-hmm.
realized that whenever I'm feeling anxious, I'm taking very, very shallow breaths. So
Mm-hmm.
posture, deep
Yeah.
breath, a little
Yeah.
bit of voice exercises. You can look up some really interesting. I was looking, I was
Mm.
looking that up actually. Recently, I gave a
Okay.
talk, and I was just trying to find some. So there's ways like you kind of did that Wonder Woman pose, right? So that kind
Yeah.
of body opens up. You can
Yeah.
do this hands up in the air, and you can push it
Mm.
down, and you go like a
Okay.
deep breath you can let out. Then you can do
Okay.
all these brrr type of things like kids. It opens
Okay.
up your lips.
Oh,
So
yes.
there's like
Mhm.
you can just do kind of
Yes.
voice exercises. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
what I've realized, Shreya, is that you can trick your brain into being confident.
Yes. Yes.
Isn't that right, Bhavna?
Yes. You need to trick your brain. You only need to trick your brain. Yes.
Yeah. Because if you ask me, where does like peace and all of that come from, that might be like a deeper question. How do I feel confident at 9:45 for a 10 o'clock meeting? You're not going to meditate and think about life and all of that. You need to
Mm-hmm.
do something. And actually, confidence doesn't come from just sitting and thinking about it. For me, it comes from like having a piece of chocolate, knowing what actually helps you.
Yeah.
For me, it's maybe a cup of coffee and a bit of voice
Mm.
exercise and just some air. I step out of my room, go out, get some air, and I come. So,
Mm.
how do you feel confident? Take 5 minutes to become confident using all these things. Okay,
Yes.
Shreya,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
that's
Yes.
our,
That's really
that's
true. I would
our,
like to add to Shreya's
please.
question. So
I'll
her
put it back.
question was, how do you speak confidently and convey your thoughts in a dismissive environment? So this happens in an organization, right? So you have to say no. Let's say you're the product manager and you have to say no to a feature. And then there are five people, five stakeholders sitting there ready to pounce on you. So this is really that forest example which you gave. Let's say stakeholders want that feature, of course, from their perspective, but you as a product manager, you might not be able to take up that feature right now. So but you need to be able to say it confidently. I think in this case, Shreya, it is, I would do two things, okay, and maybe three things. So one is, before you walk into the interview, like Shan said, first you need to be confident to yourself that okay, I am going to convey my thoughts, that you believe that you're doing the right thing for your organization. So go for it, go confidently. So the other thing is, take at least one person with you, possibly your manager or someone who is there to support you, so that you're not alone. So whether the other person will talk or not, I think it's more of a psychological thing, saying that okay, you also have one more supporter with you to support your point. Though there are, let's say, people who are in more of a dismissive perspective, so have one supporter. And I think thirdly, in terms of content again, so content is the key. If you can convey that this is the reason I think we should not go ahead with this product, for example. So try to put it, try to prove your point, and then if you see it's still not working, then there are other ways. But be confident enough that you are doing the right thing, and it's okay. Take a supporter with you and try to prove it with data, with your points. Have 2 3 points ready. So it shouldn't be like okay, you're going there and then you're thinking why you're not doing it. Have
Correct.
like solid 3 points. Say these are the three reasons why we believe we should not do this. So that's how I
Content.
would do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
I agree with Praveen also. He says holding something in the hand like a piece of paper. You might not even use it, but knowing it
Yeah.
is there helps a lot.
Yes.
So I always have a note with a bunch of notes in it.
Okay. Oh,
That's a really good one as well. And if you're telling a
awesome.
story, if you're sending a message, one of the
Mm.
things I picked up, I don't even remember which class I picked up is some time ago. It was a
Mm-hmm.
storytelling class I attended, and
Mm-hmm.
the instructor said, "See, whenever you are doing something like today, we are doing this, right, Bhavna? And
Mm.
there's a point A and a point B. Point A is we started the conversation. Point B is we should end up helping people with some ideas on how to ace public speaking. So
Yeah.
that's the point
Yeah.
B. In the middle,
Yeah.
we'll go all over the place, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
eventually, we need to go there. So
Yes.
holding that point be very clear. If
Mm.
I'm going to talk to somebody for half an hour in 28 minutes, I need to get there. In between, I can't control it, but I have
Mm.
to get to a certain
There.
point. And knowing
Yeah.
that point makes my conversation quite intentional, I think.
Yes.
You
Yes.
mentioned
That's important.
confidence. You
Mm.
mentioned confidence, Bhavna. We have another question
Yeah.
on confidence. Thanks, folks. Please keep the questions coming
Yeah.
because the questions are giving shape to the conversation, and we'd love to
Yes.
talk about what you would, want us to talk about.
Yeah.
I have seen people. Nitin asks, I have seen
Mm.
people speaking wrong language wise, but with full confidence. Even they would know that they're
Mm.
not great with language, but would focus on their strength.
Mm.
Language skills is something we can develop, but what about confidence? It's a lovely point
Yes.
Nitin has made, that you should
Yeah.
focus on your strength. So definitely
Yes.
don't lose sight of your strength. That's for sure.
So definitely a good question. I think we are getting good questions. Thank you, Shreya, Prajwal, and Nitin. So yes, language skills we can develop, like you said, and confidence is also something which you can develop. And trust me, I think confidence comes from two things. One is content. I know I've been saying this multiple times, but content is what gives you that confidence. Okay, if you know what you're talking about very well. So, for example, if you ask me to talk about, let's say, JavaScript, I don't know anything, so I am not confident about it, right? But if you ask me to talk about product management, I can get started right away. So it's really about the content, how much you know about it, and that is what will give you confidence. And secondly, I would say, so definitely language is one thing. If you can definitely develop it. So content is the key. And I wanted to say one more thing and I forgot about it.
Let me
Oh my god.
So that is another thing about speaking in public, folks. If something happens, it just happens. So Bhavna is saying, I just forgot. So I'm going to jump in with one of my ideas, and maybe Bhavna, it'll come back to you in a second, right? Um,
Think
one
about
thing
it.
I'd like to one thing I'd like to add to that is the fact that knowing your role in the conversation is very important. So, for example, I don't know anything about JavaScript, but suppose you call me to facilitate a conversation among 10 people who are talking about JavaScript. I will say I'm not the expert, but I'll come and maybe basically manage the conversation for you
Hmm,
because
hmm,
I am
hmm,
the expert in that,
hmm.
right? So it's like I'm not an expert in public speaking, but we are having a conversation about it because the role here today is to just talk about it and give you some ideas, maybe, right? So basically, knowing your role in the conversation is very important. And if you are the expert, if you are playing the role in the expert, then content is king. Then the rest
Yes,
is kind of
yes,
just kind of icing on the cake, but it is not
yes.
exactly the content itself, right?
Yes, 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 I agree. And thankfully, I remember the second point. It was practice.
Perfect.
So it is
Practice.
practice, practice, practice. So be it like, let's say you're going into that meeting where you know it is going to be a dismissive environment. It is again practice, right? So just try to prepare do that meeting, do that rehearsal once again. Okay. See, this conversation, it is more of, let's say, free flowing. So I had not prepared for this, but let's say I was giving a webinar. I did do the whole rehearsal of that 1 hour. Okay, and doing that rehearsal is very, very important. So, and again, doing that rehearsal, try to do it with one more person. Okay, so I generally used to do it with my husband. I'm like, husband, please, you have to sit, listen to me, and correct me wherever I'm going wrong. Or I used to do it with my brother, saying it was exactly like this. It was like a webinar, and they joined from the other side of it. And that rehearsal is very, very important. So how you develop confidence is practice it once, do the whole rehearsal, everything full, some from slide one to your, like, from your introduction saying, hey, I'm Bhavna Angadi, till the end. So practice is the main thing, and of course the content. Those were the two points. Yes.
Yeah. I'll add one more thing that just came to me because I
Mm,
realized that I just do it now. I don't even think because I've done it
mm,
for so long. You
mm.
remember we go to like school exams and like even in the bus we're going and we're like still like mugging up everything and trying to
Yes, yes,
remember
yes.
that.
Mm,
And
mm, mm,
I actually, I think, kind of largely stopped that in college, and I don't think I ever did that at work. So what I mean
mm,
is,
mm,
if you have a 10 o'clock presentation, 9:50 you
mm.
should not be looking through your slides. It's
Yes.
done.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, if you've not prepared them, maybe you're just kind of hashing them together. That's last
Yeah.
minute. But largely speaking, suppose at 9 o'clock you're walking into work and you have to make a presentation or you have
Mm,
to give a talk. The
mm.
last 15-20 minutes should not be about your
Yes. Yes.
words and content and tip.
Yes.
All that is
Yes.
done. It should
Yes.
largely not be that last minute rata fying or
Oh
whatever it
no.
whatever it is.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
actually about taking a deep breath,
Calming down.
calming
Yeah.
down, and looking after yourself. I think that gives you a sense of peace and calm and almost like a steady footing, basically. So the
Yes.
confidence. at some point doesn't come from the content. Yes, the background foundation is the content, but at some point you're going to go, I need to just kind of look after myself and be in the zone for this,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, definitely agree. So all that rehearsal that I was talking about, it shouldn't be like just before you started. It should be at least like a few hours before. At least the last 15 minutes should be peaceful. Like
Yeah.
very, very peaceful, calming down, all that any curry pose, eating chocolate coffee. That's what it should
Yeah.
be.
What actually gets you? And Prajwal agrees with us. Prajwal, thank you for your note. Lovely. Lovely to see that
Okay.
you're. And overthinking, yeah, I completely agree that overthinking, because overthinking,
Hmm.
you start thinking about what will they think, how will they respond. And basically,
Yeah.
the best definition of anxiety I've ever heard is from Seth Godin. And Seth Godin
Mm-hmm.
says, anxiety is the experience of failure in advance.
Oh
I'll
my
repeat.
God.
Anxiety is the
Yeah.
experience of failure in advance. Now, why the hell would
Yeah.
you want to experience failure before you have
Yeah.
even tried? Now,
Actually,
isn't it?
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
why am I assuming I will fail and then giving? I'm just going to bed. I'm just going to go to sleep, and I'll wake up and take.
Yes. Yes,
This
that
is
is
good
so
one.
true. Overthinking, I think one way to um, overcome overthinking is so overcoming again, it's about fear of judgment, right?
Yeah.
So what I think you can get started with writing. So if at all you think you need to come over that overthinking problem, then start writing. Like I think Prajwal said that he has started writing about his views more openly. So yes, you can write it on LinkedIn or Twitter, whichever platform you're
Get it out.
comfortable with. Yeah, just get it out, and then yes, don't worry about those likes, those comments. Yes, even Sham would get such some harsh comments. Even I would get such harsh
Yeah,
comments. So it's
absolutely.
absolutely fine. It's part of life. So it's okay, right? So
Yeah, yeah. Give it a shot.
overcoming, yes. So overthinking, you can overcome only when you start expressing your views. You can
Yeah,
start by writing first, and then possibly coming
correct.
to public speaking.
Correct. I remember when I went to America for the first time, I was single and I was cooking, and my mother used to send me recipes and all that. And I used
Mm,
to just keep reading them. And my mother used to say,
mm.
"You're not going to get better at cooking by just reading the recipes. You need to do something."
Yes,
So
yes,
I've kind of, it's like that, right? You will
yes,
not get better at public speaking by talking about public speaking. You have to actually do it. So
yes,
trying to find those opportunities can be a good first step. Praveen's got another
yes.
question for us. Oh, how wonderful! What role does dress play? It's a very good question, because I mean, I'm going to expand this question, Praveen, if you will allow me to. More than dress, just entire appearance, entire kind of setup. How does it play a role? Do you want to share your thoughts first?
Sure, I can. So dress definitely plays a role. So I mean, for example, though I'm sitting doing this in my house, it does not mean that let's say I wear my casual t-shirt, or let's say that night t-shirt. So it does not give the right impression to the audience, right? So dress definitely plays a role. So the reason I'm wearing this formal shirt is I want it to be like a formal conversation as well. So not like I'm taking it too casually. I am here to give some knowledge to the listeners. So dress definitely has an impact. So the first impression, I think, like you said, probably it's designed in our body. So how you see a person, definitely it does matter about how you think about that person. So dress does play a role.
Yeah, I mean, overall appearance plays
Yes.
it has made a huge difference to me. Forget about the impression it makes. I mean, that's obviously important. But
Mm,
for me, for example, if I have my own preferences. Right? I don't like wearing a suit. I mean, I generally
mm,
am kind of semi formal or semi casual, whichever way it goes.
mm,
But if I have to go to a really important kind of thing, I tend to wear formal shoes and
mm,
formal
mm, mm,
socks, not kind of cottony things. I mean, just the
mm,
tuck and wear a proper belt and maybe put on a jacket of some kind, something
mm, mm,
to
mm,
not to dress up that much, but put me
mm,
in the zone. Like if this was a talk in public, I would probably wearing shoes and wearing a slight jacket and all of that. Shave, and I for me it is important to feel like ready for
yeah.
that situation as well, and that's a very internal thing. But from
Mm,
an
mm.
external thing, you have to be very aware of what people are looking for. But of course, once you reach the Steve Jobs level, you can wear whatever you like. It doesn't matter. Or if you're Elon Musk, it doesn't matter. But being
Yeah.
aware of what is appropriate and what message does your wardrobe send, what message does your appearance send, right?
Yes.
If your content is so strong that you don't care, you can come
Mm.
unshaven and disheveled and all of that. But then if you're trying to make an impression, uh,
Yeah.
like my boss used to say, we used to do a lot of work in Japan and China and Korea. He used to say, you can never be more overdressed. Overdressing is okay. It doesn't matter. Always wear a suit and tie. Worst case scenario, you'll
It's
take
okay.
off your tie. It's okay.
Yeah.
Kind of can never be
Mm-hmm.
overdressed, I guess. I would say.
Yeah. That's
We
a
have
good one. It's about the
no.
external impression, what people think, and about how you feel. So, for example, I would never wear a new dress for any public speaking event, right?
Interesting.
So because I don't know how it's going to feel, right? So even on a trip, for example, I don't wear those new clothes because
Yeah,
you don't know how it's going to feel, right? And you want to be comfortable. So so that's why you would always try. You should always wear something which you have worn something, especially
indeed.
in a public
Born in.
speaking event, so that you're comfortable and you know how it feels. So yes,
Yes, yes, indeed, indeed. As our
yeah.
next, as our next
Mm-hmm.
commenter, Rudra is an athlete communication trainer. I'm sure you agree that athletes would never use a shoe that is not worn in, because you won't never wear a brand new shoe to a game. You'll need to wear it
Oh,
in. So basically, clothes, dress,
yeah.
pens, notebooks, everything. Use things that
Hmm.
you're comfortable with, familiar with.
Yes,
Don't shock the brain. And Rudra's got
yes,
such a
yes.
wonderful point. He says,
Hmm.
besides knowing your content and environment, the key to confidence is knowing that you'll not know it all.
Yes,
Letting your mind know that it is completely normal to not know it all allows you to be
yes.
yourself. And once that happens, confidence oozes. Rudra, very, very well put, actually.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. We don't know all the answers, so yes.
Yeah. In a way, confidence is so there's a lovely complementary view to this, because confidence
Hmm.
can come from what you know, but
Hmm.
confidence can also come by letting go, saying, that's
Hmm.
it. I mean, somebody else may know more, somebody else may know better. It's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's okay. Yes, yes. Totally agree, Rudra.
So we have a question, and that's directed for you, Bhavna, directly to you.
Okay,
As a
okay.
public speaker at institutions, what else do
Huh.
you talk about apart from product management?
Okay, so that's a good question. So I mostly talk about product management. I was very happy. I was telling my husband that finally I'm getting to talk something other than product management. So
Indeed,
I'm
indeed.
very happy to talk about public speaking today. So thank you so much, Sham. So apart from product management, I once taught about digital marketing. So in my Kingston University. So not directly product management, but yeah, I spoke about I taught about digital marketing. And the other thing, I remember I spoke in a career fair. So where it was all college students joining, and they wanted to ask about what are the different options that are present in corporate world. So generally, as an engineer, you only know that, oh, it's probably going to be some software job. So, but when I worked in an e-commerce company like Big Basket, I got to know that there's so many jobs. I mean, be it like there's something like content team, there's something like category team, there's something called replenishment team. There's so many teams, and you have a lot of options. So I had spoken about the various career options that are present in e-commerce. So that's what I had spoken about. But mostly it was product management all the time.
Yeah. What's very interesting is, and I'll say this to Nitin, because you can find these, what I like to say, magic is at the intersections, right? So if you're in product management, you intersect with sales, you intersect with career, you
Yeah,
intersect with college students who want to move in. There's so
yeah,
many
yeah,
so many intersections that you'll have, and you can
yeah,
always be the product management voice in that space, or the
yeah,
product management voice in that space. So basically, it's a great place to start experiencing anything, not just public speaking. It's basically, if
yeah,
you're looking for a career move, a career change also, sometimes it's nice to say, okay, where can I add value being who I am in that space, right? So,
yeah,
uh, speaking as a product manager in a product manager conference, that's a
yeah,
big deal. But you could be a
yeah.
product manager speaking as a product manager in a sales conference. That might be something quite different and unique,
Different.
right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So it's a very, very interesting question that if you're trying to find a break into if you want to speak and if you want to express yourself, basically take any opportunity that comes, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in your own space. That's kind of how I'm thinking that through.
Yes, that is true. And I would like to add one more thing.
Hmm.
So, which goes back to our first question. So, you are someone who is, let's say, like an introvert. Um, let's say an engineer, for example. I'm not saying engineers are introverts. I'm saying like engineers who,
Sure.
let's say, who are more of that desk job, individual contributors, right? So, if they want to get started as public speakers, I think one good way is, let's say, hosting, right? So,
Yeah.
let's say they can host, right? So they can host first so that you are not exactly in the spotlight, so that you are not the one who is answering all the questions, but you can be the one who can take questions and then kind of redirect. So in that way, you can get started, like, let's say, facing the camera, and you are not on the exact spotlight. So that is one good way to get started, like being the
Right.
host. So just call someone in. Let's say you can invite Sham and do a webinar with them, right? So that is one way. And the other way is possibly doing YouTube videos, right?
Yes.
Because even in YouTube videos, you will have to show your face in most cases. So you will have to show your face, and it can be your voice. So you have a way to, let's say, put your content and kind of experiment with your public speaking in form of YouTube videos and see how it goes. And once you watch, for example, I do watch my own webinar sometimes, and I've tried to
Yeah.
correct.
Important.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think doing those YouTube videos, watching your own recordings for some time. So I think that's a good way, Sham.
Yeah. Completely agree. Let's look at
Yeah.
one more question.
Mm,
Mahalakshmi has asked, how about women's professional suit? I think wearing a professional suit, I mean,
mm,
highly, what should I say?
mm, mm,
At the higher end of the formal spectrum, I guess, is the informal, formal, very, 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 very formal. Is that something
mm.
that is still prevalent or in use? I mean, do you see it? I mean, you're in London right now. I'm not sure how formal or how informal it gets there.
Yes, so here most people they wear dresses, so or they either wear suits. So yes, that is still there. For example, I'm doing my MBA. I'm in business. I'm in management field. I don't even have a suit yet. Okay, so it really depends on what you are comfortable with. Okay, if you are comfortable wearing a sari in a conference, let it be, right? It's about how you carry it. It's about
Mm.
how confident you are. So it's not really about wearing that suit. So I am comfortable wearing just this shirt, right? So it's about what makes you comfortable. I mean, just yesterday I was watching Game of Thrones, and I want to give this example. Okay, so there's one person who is wearing this whole armor and all
Yeah.
that, uh, those shield things holding it, and there's one more person who's like, no, I don't need anything. And that is because he so that he can move very freely, right? If you wear that armor, it's very heavy, right? So it really depends on how you are comfortable. So if you are comfortable, let's say, wearing a sari, and I'm comfortable wearing just the shirt, I'm good. So suit is not necessarily a requirement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I completely agree. And I think the true test is, am I feeling anxious about it? If you're feeling anxious
Yeah.
about it, wear it.
Yeah.
Some things will matter to some people, some things won't. If you are worried about, oh my God, if I don't wear a suit, then wear it. Just kill that
Yes.
anxiety completely.
Yes.
As long
Yes.
as you are able to buy one and wear one and all of that. But
Yeah.
it's not like wearing a suit will make it, make you a great public speaker, but it will
Yeah.
reduce the anxiety and hence it will
Yes.
help you, maybe, right?
Yes.
So if you're going
Yes.
for a,
Yes.
yeah, right, if you're going to stand in front of 100 people and then you have a certain anxiety about the way you look or how you are kind of
Mm-hmm.
going to feel wearing what you feel,
Mm-hmm.
wear the
Mm.
suit,
Yeah.
and don't give it that much thought. Just kill the, I
Yeah.
almost think of it as like kill those anxieties, like one done. Let me focus on the talk now, because bottom line is nobody is coming there to see me in a suit. People are coming there to see me speak, or
Yeah.
hear me say
Yeah.
something of value.
Yeah.
So all of these things are almost irritants. Actually, you need to kind of get them out of your system and say, okay, I've got a suit. And sometimes I use that a lot nowadays.
Hmm.
Now today I'm not wearing a black shirt, but because in the evening I'd like to wear a brighter shirt. But during the day I just have like black shirts. I don't think too much, and
Hmm.
just have like for my online work I just have black shirts. I just don't think too much about it and just wear it and go, because I kind of get
Hmm.
it out of my system and that's it. That's my
Hmm.
look basically.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
So if you feel like you
Yeah.
need a suit, Lakshmi, just get one and just kind of
Yeah.
use it and wear it and keep it with you and kind of kill that anxiety, I would say, right?
But don't do it for the first time in that event. So if you really
Yes,
want to wear that suit, so
exactly.
definitely wear it once or twice before. Get
Yeah,
used
wear
to
those
that.
shoes, wear that suit, wear
Yes.
those dresses, or wear that shirt.
Yeah.
Not for the first time. Take it somewhere, wear it somewhere else. I've lounged around in my house in a suit before, so you just kind of just wear it for the evening at home and sit around in it and kind of feel comfortable in it. Yes.
Yes. Yes. It's important to feel comfortable. Yes.
I also wanted to talk about voice because a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people have spoken to me about voice.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and of course, before we started, we were talking about mics. And is that an AirPod? What you're using right now?
Yes. Yes. It's AirPods. Yes.
It's an AirPod. Yeah, it's very high quality. It's very nice. And
I know. Yeah.
I've been thinking about this for a long time, saying, what makes you a good communicator in a virtual world? And to be
Mm-hmm.
honest, let us not forget the value of technology, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I've invested in a nice mic here, and I have great speakers, and I have a high def camera. My lighting is
Fancy
a little
setup.
off. It's what? It's not that fancy, Bhavna. Actually, it's super super cheap. These things have become so cheap. When I bought this
Mm-hmm.
mic, I was experimenting with a podcast, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you. I went to Amazon. I said
Mm-hmm.
podcast mic. I sorted
Mm-hmm.
by price and bought the cheapest one, and that's it.
Okay.
I did not overthink it. It's not some
Got it.
fancy brand or anything. It's literally the cheapest podcast mic available on Amazon.in. So,
Okay.
so I was thinking about this and saying, okay, what role does voice play?
Yeah.
And some people say, hey, it's a nice voice. It's you come across well sometimes, and they say, okay, my voice is not that good.
Okay.
And I've always been wondering, what feedback to give there, what to actually offer. Suppose your tone
Mm-hmm.
is very high,
Mm-hmm.
or your pace is usually very fast. There are certain things we
Mm-hmm.
can adjust, certain things we may
Yeah.
we may find it hard to play with. So I was just wondering,
Mm-hmm.
what are your thoughts about just voice and how you come across?
Yes. So I have two things. So one is people speaking very fast. Okay.
Mm.
So I can show you my mom's message just like 15 minutes before. She was saying, don't speak too fast, Kanda. Like, don't speak too fast. Try to speak slowly. So she has attended some of my webinars, and in some webinars where I know the content, like I can explain very fluently and I go very fast on it, right?
Yeah.
But that's the content only I know. That is not the case with the audience, right? So my mom would try to speak slowly. So definitely we should speak slowly because not everyone can understand when we speak very
True.
fast. Right. So for example, here I am facing that problem because Brits speak fast. They speak very fast and I am just looking at their lips and focusing with my 100% attention what they're trying to say. So
Yeah.
you are on stage speaking and addressing like so many people, you should definitely try to speak slow. That is one thing. And like you said, I was reading about public speaking and how to get better at it. So one of the other things that you can change, if at all that's the problem, is so some people they don't open their lips too much when they speak, right? And that needs to be improved. So that if you speak, yeah, that's what I think, and we won't be able to do
It's
that. So
yeah.
that's yeah, it won't get conveyed properly. So that communication part becomes a problem. So it's important that you like speak with your lips open and you have to keep smiling. So yes.
I'll tell you, I'll tell you the hardest bit of doing this, right, is watching your own recording. I know you have done it. And folks, if you have never done it, do it. I'm telling you.
Yes,
Nothing, don't do anything fancy. Just, next time you
yes.
have a team meeting, just go
Mm,
on video and record the whole thing and just go and
yes,
watch it. Any meeting you're doing.
yes,
I
yes,
can tell you
yes.
the first time you do it, it is devastating because
It's funny.
it's funny, or I mean, for
It
me, it
is
was
funny.
devastating. I was like, is this
Okay.
really how I am, or is this really how I look, or is this really
Mm.
how I speak? Am I this serious all the time? I was looking angry, but I was not angry.
Oh,
But I was
okay,
just not
okay.
smiling. It was very
Mm,
very very interesting.
yeah,
Got a few more questions coming in. Mahalakshmi is
sure.
asking about body language.
Please tell us about body language. So yes, very good question, Mahalakshmi. Body language. See, I'm a person who, let's say, who does a lot of actions. Like I use my hand too much, and it feels very dramatic when I speak, and it's okay because if I try to control it, then I would have to focus my attention on that, saying that, oh, I need to control my body language. I shouldn't be like this. I shouldn't be like that. So it's okay to begin with. I'm saying just talk like generally how you talk with your friends. Okay, so because people do say that if you walk around, if you occupy the stage more, then it shows more control. So all that definitely you can do probably after like 10-20 sessions, as you keep doing more of these sessions. But to begin with, I think it's again the content and your confidence. So body language, yes, try to keep calm and don't I mean, don't try to show that you are anxious, right? So focus on the content. Try to answer people's question. So if you are going in that right direction, I think that should be enough. So body language has a minor part to play in the beginning. That's what I would say,
No, no,
especially in the webinars. Yeah,
yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I'll focus on virtual because so much time we spend on virtual right now.
yeah,
I would
yeah,
say know where you are on the screen. Like we just
yeah.
tested it, Bhavna and I, before we started. Where are we?
Yeah, we
Are we
should
in the
speak about
middle? Are
it.
we in the side? Where are we
Yeah,
looking? How do we
yeah,
look? Can
yeah,
they see our entire face? Can they see our
yeah,
expressions? Can they
yeah.
see our hands? I can tell you, this is a huge psychological hack. Show your hands once in a while. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
my dad definitely he used to hate people who keep their hands in their pockets and walk around. And I was like, why,
Uh-huh,
why, why?
uh-huh.
But actually, there's another deep psychological reason for this. We don't
Mm-hmm.
trust people. We cannot see their hands. We don't trust them. Go back,
Oh,
go
oh
back
my
5,000
goodness.
years. If I can't see your
Mm-hmm.
hand, you're holding a dagger behind your back and you're going to kill me. You know, I mean, that's how we come from the, again, our rear brain is acting up, in ways we don't recognize.
Mm-hmm.
So show your hand
Mm-hmm.
once in a while. Not that you'll kill me over the or you'll hurt me over the internet. But the
Yeah.
point is when you see my hands, the trust level goes up.
Mm.
Somewhere in the back of your head, that trust level is going up. Because I don't know if I never show my hands, what is he doing? Is he playing with the mouse? Is he typing something? What I don't, something the brain will start working on its own. So show your hands once,
Mm-hmm.
not that you have to do this
Yeah.
all the time, but
Yeah.
show your hands once in a while. And
Yeah.
absolutely right that if you're moving around in stage, the feedback always we used to get was even when you are standing talking, when you are talking, don't move, stay in one place.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to shift, shift, but don't keep on talking and moving. Then we don't know where to look, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, where is Sham? Where is Bhavna? Why are they going back and forth? So speak, move, all of these.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sirisha, thank you for saying it's an evergreen topic. It is actually. It's just a
Yeah.
fantastic topic for us to
Yes.
investigate. I can't believe
Yeah.
we've been talking for like 55 minutes nearly. Prajwal's got a
Oh my
question.
God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Prajwal's got a question. Any tips or suggestions to overcome fear which leads to leg shivering, high heartbeat while addressing a crowd? Mostly I take a deep breath to overcome this, which has helped me to some extent. Any other tips for kind of physical symptoms, right? Like fear, anxiety
Mm.
hits you physically. That's a very and good to know that you're kind of overcoming this already with
Yes.
breath.
Yes. See, I'll tell you one. So my manager was giving this. He was giving a talk on product management. It was in person, and it was in our own organization. Okay, it was probably some 50 people. So he was shivering with his mic. Okay, so I could see that, and for a minute I thought, do I also do this? Would I do this? Uh, so I think it does happen. It can happen to anyone. Okay, so I think the only way to overcome that is by practice again. So just keep going on that stage. Try to do it again and again, and over time, your brain will get used to it. That it's no longer a stage where you have to fear, right? So I think it's only by doing more of it you will overcome that fear, right? And addressing the crowd, let's say high heartbeat. Yes, even I experienced high heartbeat probably the first 5 minutes of the session, but eventually it's about how you take that conversation, right? So Sham is a very good host, so I'm not nervous, right? And definitely I also took so many deep breaths in between. So I think deep breathing is the one which works very well.
Deep breathing, yes, indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
And the key thing to realize, I think, here is, and Prajwal's question is very deep actually, because physical symptoms need to be addressed with physical remedies, right? So if your legs are
Mm-hmm.
shaking, hold the dais. It's okay. Lean on it. Use the
Mm-hmm.
support, right? If
Yeah.
your heart is beating high, a high rate of
Mm.
heartbeat, slow down, take deep breath, speak
Yeah.
slower than you normally would. Because if you don't speak slower, what will happen is you'll speak too fast because your heart is beating so fast. So make a conscious
Mm.
attempt to slow it down, right?
Yeah.
And use that time basically to slow it down, slow the heart down. So physical symptoms need physical
Mm.
remedies, I think. So you need to
Yeah.
address it physically, like shivering, hold it, get some support, lean on the mic, something that gives you that additional physical support, because you can't solve that
Mm-hmm.
physical issue with a mental thing that I'll be fine, because the legs need the support. So anyway,
Mm.
thank you, Prajwal. Lovely.
Yeah, good question. It was a learning for me also. Thank you,
Yeah.
Prajwal.
Corporate Virag says corporate should learn public speaking from great politicians, vis-a-vis Obama. The pause is
Yes,
as
yes,
important
yes.
as the flow. How taking a pause plays important role? Yeah, I agree. I agree. Pauses are. I'll hit you with another uh, psychology example. This is a
Mm-hmm.
piece of research I picked up. I don't know, quite a long time ago,
Mm.
and it has helped me immensely in my virtual work. Physical,
Mm.
face to face also, but virtually it is a huge benefit. Sometimes I take training or I speak where I can't see anybody. I've done like
Mm.
talks to like 100, 500 people on Zoom where I can't see a single person. Now, when
Okay.
I say something, I don't know what is going on. There's no reaction, no nothing. So,
Mm-hmm.
this research says if you say something, suppose I say, any questions? 7 seconds, 6, 7 seconds, the anxiety is on you. Will somebody say something, please? Somebody, please respond. Apparently, after seven,
Okay.
8 seconds, the
Mm.
anxiety shifts to the audience. And the audience is now saying, can someone please say something? Otherwise, Sham will just make us sit here forever. Yeah. So, kind of 6, 7 seconds is my kind of threshold where I know that if I can last that long with a pause, I can do it. So, anyway,
Mm.
again, as you keep saying, practice has brought me here. But next time you give a pause, do not break your own pause. That is one learning I have. Anyway, please, what are your thoughts on pauses?
Yes, taking a pause definitely has a role because if you see, like, if I keep talking for like 5, 10 minutes continuously without a pause, the brain cannot focus, right? So it definitely needs a pause for you, for me, and for Sham, even for a listener, even for a speaker. So taking that pause and giving that pause is equally important so that all the information is kind of absorbed, even for the audience. And even for you, you will get some rest. So instead of so like think so, I think taking that pause, trying to be silent for those 1 or 2 seconds definitely helps. It is important.
Yeah. And I think public speaking is not about knowing everything and going on this long, fast, rapid paced thing about saying everything in one shot so that everybody thinks you know what you're talking about. It's really about, if you need to pause and think, it's okay. You can actually acknowledge that you are thinking it through, and that
Yeah,
actually adds authenticity to your conversation. It doesn't take anything away. Let's take
yeah,
one more question, Bhavana, and
yeah,
then we'll
yeah.
get
I
started.
wanted to add to that
Please,
previous
please, please.
questions. For example, I forgot that those 2 points, right? That confidence and practice. So it's okay. I know I messed it up, and it's okay to mess it up, right? And at that times, I think one trick is to just laugh. Okay, just laugh at yourself. Oh my God, I forgot. So it's
Yes.
okay. And even people were like, okay, fine. It's okay. Things like this happen. We are all humans, right? I mean, I was about to say shit happens, but yeah,
You did.
it's
You
okay.
just did.
So it's absolutely okay. Even if you forget something, even if you're not able to answer, it's absolutely okay. Say that, oh, I really don't have the answer to this question.
Yeah,
Maybe try to ask Sham in that case. If he has the answer, great. Or else say
exactly.
you can.
To Rudra's point earlier, you might not have all the answers,
Yes.
uh, and you can always ask. And I think the it's okay thing that we are saying quite so much today, and I completely agree with you, Bhavna. The it's okay bit is you have to. acknowledge that before you go to the talk, before you go and stand up and speak.
Yes. Yeah.
Before itself, you need to acknowledge and accept that it's all right. It's all right if there's a mess up. It's all right because we'll recover. Yeah.
Correct. Correct. Agree.
Right. One more question from Mahalakshmi. Whether we
Sure.
need to use some quotes during our speech, and how important is it? Tell us. Do you use quotes in your? Is
I
that your
didn't
style?
use even one quote, so
Never.
no. I mean, yeah, it'll be good if you can have those catchy quotes. That'll be good. But I don't use any such quotes as such. But
Okay.
it's a good
I'm
thing if you can
guilty.
do it. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm guilty of using a quote every day in my LinkedIn posts. So I use a
Oh,
quote.
that is good.
But
That is good.
but I mean, the point is this: clearly, we are opposites. I mean, I use quite a few quotes in my kind of presentations and talks and everything.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
the most important thing here is to make it relevant. It's not just
Yeah.
I just say something for the sake of saying, and I
Yeah.
just put in some quotes because I need to fill some space. It
Yeah.
genuinely adds value. It genuinely makes a point. I use quotes as segues actually between. If I go from
Hmm.
topic A to topic B, I
Hmm.
connect them with a story or a quote. And just the
Yeah.
quote is not enough. The story around the quote can also be very interesting. Like one of my
Yeah.
favorite quotes that I use with a lot of my clients is apparently Gandhiji said, there is much more to life than increasing its speed. And I
Hmm.
keep telling myself that to slow myself down. So whenever I talk about slowing down, I'd say there's much more to life than increasing its speed, and everyone
Hmm.
agrees with it because like, yeah, if you keep running fast, what's the point, right? So as long as
Yeah.
it's relevant, I think it can add a lot of value.
Yes, I
So
think
let's
relevance is very important. So I
yes,
had used a quote, I remember. So I think 2 years back when the pandemic hit us, when I was giving presentations about how Big Basket handled the the crisis, handled all that surge in demand during the crisis.
yeah,
I had this one quote which I used for I think 10 times
everywhere,
at least everywhere, and that quote I still I think it's about there are days when decades don't happen. I mean, there are years when nothing happens, and then there are a few days where decades happen. So something
decades.
like that. Yeah. So that was my favorite quote, and that is what had happened. So because Big Basket suddenly saw like 6 times the demand.
Yeah, yeah,
So and the world changed during that
yes,
pandemic in
yes,
those few months. So yes,
yeah,
decades happened within few days. Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. 1 hour. Where did it go?
Oh, okay. It's over. Awesome,
It's been super
awesome.
great. Bhavna,
Lovely
thank you so
session.
much for joining us. It's been a lovely exploration. I wish we could keep going on forever, but here we are. Thank you so much. Would you like to say anything as we conclude?
Firstly, I would like to thank you, Sham. So finally, I get to speak about another topic other than product management. I would love to do more of this. Thank you so much, Sham. And definitely all the best to everyone listening to this LinkedIn Live, because once upon a time, even I was a listener and now I'm a speaker. And I hope to see all of you as speakers someday. And we hope that we join your webinar sometime soon. So, all the very best.
All the best to everybody, and thank you, Bhavna. See you all next time. Bye bye.
See you. Bye bye.